Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for Marysville School Board, positions 1, 3, and 4. I'm Karen Madsen, a member of the League. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me provide some background on the position. School directors or school board members set general policy for the school system, employ school personnel upon recommendation of the superintendent, adopt and revise the annual operating budget. They inform the public of the needs and progress of the educational system. They administer school functions, and they select the superintendent of schools. Candidates for school board do not declare a political party preference. Candidates for school director position 1 are Ray Sheldon Jr. and Malory L. Simpson. Candidates for school director position 3 are Mark Tomas and Barbara Alfond. Candidates for school position 4 are Craig Hereth and Ricky McCaig. It is Ms. Alfond is not joining us this evening. It is the policy of the League to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or parties. The rules for participation in this forum were sent ahead of time to all candidates, and they have each agreed to follow them. I will pose the questions. I will clearly state the amount of time allowed for each answer. We're using a countdown timer, which is visible to all the candidates, and time limits on questions and on answers will be strictly enforced. The order for responses to the first question will be Craig Hereth, followed by Malory Simpson and Mark Tomas. Next up will be Ray Sheldon, and finally Ricky McCaig. I apologize, sir. I will then alternate candidates in the starting position to ensure a fair sequence. Let's begin. Candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to this first question. And Mr. Hereth, your first question is, what are your top priorities for this office? Please explain why you are focusing on these priorities.
Well, as a board member, I consider myself to be a team player. So my priorities are basically what our board goals are for the district for this year. First goal is organizational effectiveness, meaning that we operate efficiently and transparently, that we're in alignment with all our board policies and state laws, community expectations, that we have systems in place that are predictable and repeatable, and that we are fiscally responsible so that we don't get into the budget problems that we've had in the past. Our second goal is safety and belonging, so that our schools are places where students feel safe, they feel respected, they feel supported in our district. Our third goal is having an effective learning environment, which means that students receive extra support so that they feel connected to daily learning, that there's progress in reading and math that's closely monitored to meet our grade level expectations, that families can rely on clear and consistent teaching and assessment practices across all our schools. And then finally, our fourth goal is community engagement and partnership, so that we have continue to develop our foundation of trust and collaboration between the district and families, Tulalip tribes, and our community partners. Our goal is to work together in meaningful ways to foster supportive relationships that value the diverse perspectives in our community.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Simpson?
Hello. Um, Originally, when I joined the campaign trail, I was a candidate, but I'm currently serving as the District 1 director. But the focus of my campaign prior to that was to advocate for special education as a parent of a child who needed support. I know firsthand what those frustrations look like. And advocating for students in the special education program, helping to ensure that their needs are being met, and protect the department as a whole so we can continue to provide services. Also, one thing that I know has been an issue is bullying and harassment, intimidation, and trying to find a way that we can support families and students so that students feel safe in our school district. And also trying to reach the core on kind of what is behind that. and how can we provide support for students who might be bullying and get to the core root of what the problem is.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Okay, this is Mark Thomas. I really appreciate what Craig said, and I too fully endorse all of the goals of our board. But I really decided to become a candidate and well, actually to apply for the position last November because I have extraordinary concern about us achieving financial responsibility. Well, we dug ourselves, the district dug itself a very deep budget hole, obviously, as is well known. We made enormous progress in the past school year in terms of addressing the issues that were underlying that budget deficit and trying to restore our general fund balance, but we've got a ways to go. And I'd really like the next 2 years to see that through and get us to the point where our general fund balance is where it should be for our district. The other goal to me that is extremely important is improving our overall standardized test scores and student performance. We're not where we should be, but we have an opportunity with all the reorganization we're doing to try and address those issues, and that's going to be an element of my focus.
Karen, you're muted.
Mr. Sheldon, you're up next.
I thank you all for inviting me. We need to get into the right direction. We haven't been for quite a few years, probably maybe 6, 7 years. We really can't really do anything until our numbers are better than what we have. And of course, everyone's going to say they're just great, but we're not doing very good. We can't do any extra things because we just don't have the budget for security and everything else. Everything is kind of, until we have the numbers, we really can't get the ship uprighted and go in the right direction. And I just hope we can get in the right direction soon. Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. Mr. McCaig?
So my number one priority is, like many of the others have focused on, is going to be budget. I really think that it's tough to tell the kids that are coming into, the society that, we kind of failed them from the get-go because we couldn't budget our schools. So I really think that we need to prioritize that as number one thing, is getting the budget under order, getting finances to a path that are going to allow us to continue to do things and improve the actual education of the students. Next thing is student safety and security. I think it's very important. I have I have nephews that are in the school district. I have a new kid, a new son that is going to be coming in the school district in a couple of years. He's 16 months old now. And so, safety and security is going to be a very important thing. And without fixing the budget, again, that's why it's number one. Without fixing the budget, we're not going to be able to do that. Parental communication. I've been in the Marysville area for a very long time, and it's been very clear that the parents don't feel included in the school district's decisions, and they want to be. So I really think that we need to make sure that we put the parent communication in there. And then ultimately the outcome of the students' grades. We need to make sure that we're putting top performers in today's society.
Thank you, sir. Candidates will have 90 seconds for this next question as well, and Ms. Simpson will lead off on this one. And the question is, now that you've told us what your top priorities are, can you tell us what qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address those priorities?
Well, I believe that our families, our students, and educators need someone who is willing to show up for them. And I believe that by working together, we can bring forth the changes necessary to improve the Marysville School District as a whole. I've always worked in fields of service work. I truly feel that service work is the heart's work. And when you're on a school board, it really is a service work for the community. I have a bachelor's degree in community advocacy in responsive education in human services. I've also dedicated many years working within the education field, from being a preschool teacher assistant for 8 years and then a Native American student advocate for 5 years. That was performed within my tribe, but I was in the Marysville School District working alongside the Native liaison. I feel like I would be a good candidate because of the community ties that I have with Tulalip, but also with the Marysville School District. I am a graduate of the Marysville School District. I have 3 kids that have graduated from Marysville, and my youngest had just started high school this year. So I will have another graduate soon. Fingers crossed, but from MPHS. So
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. A lot of the reason why I decided to apply for the school board was based on my experience and the thought that I could help. I had a long career, 42 years, with a major aerospace company that was not Boeing, that I retired from in 2022. The last 22 years of that, I served as a manager of an independent business unit within that company, in which I had a lot of experience establishing and maintaining budgets, making tough decisions on what we could afford to do and what we couldn't afford to do. And I thought that that would be of significant help in looking at the numbers on a regular basis and helping to identify where we might have problems ahead that we needed to address, so to ensure that we met our budgets on an annual basis and we continued to build our general fund balance. Also, I worked for my company. I am a licensed attorney. I worked in their legal office and the contracts office for a number of years. I'm not shy of dealing with conflict or controversial issues, and I recognize that that may become part of what I have to do in order for us to achieve what we need to achieve with regard to both our budget and improving student performance.
Thank you, Mr. Sheldon.
I've been this is my 5th year. I've been in the Snohomish County Planning Commission this is my 5th year, and we oversee at times we see over the budget over the county budget too. I've been involved and around for the school district for quite a while, and I was like everyone else here. I enjoy numbers because it's important. We need to get the right direction so we can maybe not have OSPI that we have to prove to everyone else, and we got to prove to the people that we could do this too. And that's where I'm thinking that we can get there. And you know, it's one of these. Of course, these are all hard questions, but we need to get there and be able to succeed and make everyone feel that we are really transparent.
Mr. McCaig, you're up next.
Hi, thanks. So what makes me qualified for this is my background in the Navy. I am a 20-year Navy vet, retired Navy CPO, and my primary job in the Navy was effectively, I was a retail specialist. Effectively, I ran multiple large-scale retail operations on board aircraft carriers and other small ships. I have 20 years of experience in that. I am an expert at financial returns. I am an expert at auditing financial returns. I am very good with accounts payable and receivable, and just really keeping track and accountability of funds. I'm also an expert in the field of identifying and budgeting the way we need to budget when funds are not necessary, not easily readily available, right? So I believe that will come in handy when we're not able to get levies passed, or when we're not able to reach out and ask for tax increases, because I don't support tax increases as being the first option for improving the budget for the school. I think we should deal with that in between there. Then for my priorities of safety and security, I have a background in the military, so you know, safety and security has always been driven into me ever since I was a young adult. I don't think there's any issues with that. Parental communication, I'm vocal. It's really easy to talk to people, and I think we can make that work.
and Mr. Hereth.
Great. Well, the first thing is the previous year I spent serving on the board as a director. I learned a lot about how boards operate, laws, funding, the reasons behind why we do things the way we do. And I've already dealt with situations that most board members never deal with, maybe in an entire career. Things like replacing a superintendent, grade reconfiguration, school closures, being placed under enhanced financial oversight, our central office reorganization, property exchange with the city of Marysville. So even though it was only a year, it was probably much more as far as what I learned. Second reason is my 30 plus years as an educator. It doesn't make me better, but what it does is it gives me relevant experience that no other board member or candidate has. And I think that it just makes sense that if you have a team of 5 people making decisions about a school district, that one of those people has actually spent most of their adult life as an educator. Third is the relationships I've had a chance to enhance and build as a board member. The working relationships I've built with our current board members, the working relationship I have with our superintendent, Dr. Rumbaugh, the knowledge and familiarity I have with staff, and the long-term commitment I've had with our community members. So I think all those things put me in a position where I can be an effective board member, and I'd like to have a chance to expand on the work that we've started already.
Thank you for that. Timer, please note that the candidates will have 60 seconds for the next few questions. So if you'd adjust the clock, we'd appreciate it. Mr. Tomas, how will you have first say on this next question, how will you advocate to improve educational outcomes for each child in the Marysville School District?
As you know, for the last several years, Marysville has not been meeting the state standards with regard to its standardized test scores and other factors. I think we definitely need to make some significant improvement in that area. I think in some cases, some significant changes in structure need to be made in order to provide the impetus to make those changes that will benefit our students. I mean, the first one I think we already made, which I'm very happy we've done, which is to move 6th grade students back to the elementary schools. It was clear that the configuration we had wasn't working, and we needed to do something different, and this gives us the opportunity to do that. I'd like to look at other opportunities to make changes in our structure that will allow us to address those for our performance.
Mr. Sheldon.
Well, I'm a director on Leah's Dream, which is for the special needs. I really feel like in Director Simpson said, we need to really focus a little bit more on the special needs instead of leaving them out to dry. We need some more help, and especially people are graduating. They struggle for half through the year, realizing if I'm going to be able to walk. We need to start working on education and getting these kids through so they're not frustrated and not worrying if they're going to be able to graduate on time. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Mr. McCaig?
I think it's as I don't want to say simple, but I think we have to go back to basics. I think it's very important that we really dive into what we're teaching students and make sure that we are actually teaching them the basics. They're learning how to read, write, do math, understanding science, understanding history, economics, and other basic education classes. It seems like there's a lot of things that students are being taught that are not directly involved in their education for those educational topics, right? But we need to get to that. And I think that's the easiest way to get started, is to get back to basics and make sure that we are actually educating students and not giving them information that they can learn later on in life without, with the proper education behind there as a basis.
Mr. Hereth?
Well, we're working on several things. Effective learning environment is one of our board goals. So we're going to closely monitor student progress, especially in math and reading. We need to reach grade level expectations. The article just came out last week about how we compare to other districts, and it's not acceptable for us to be at the bottom. We need to go ahead and use our observational data on which instructional practices are being used that are most effective, and then we need to share that best practices district-wide so we can replicate the success. We need to engage in some grade level curricular mappings to provide more alignment between grades and schools. If a child is going to school at one school in the district and they, for some reason, transfer across the district, there should be kind of roughly the same thing going on in that school. And then making sure that students receive interventions and classroom supports that they need to be successful for mastering their learning standards.
Ms. Simpson, your thoughts?
I think really working on inclusivity and investing in professional development for our teachers, providing training to give them the skills that they need to be able to come from a culturally responsive approach. And I really think just focusing on inclusivity, but also learning how to reach and meet students where they're at and how can we move forward in teaching them from there.
Thank you. This next question is something that you've all touched on, and Mr. Sheldon, you'll have a chance to respond first. The loss of funding has had serious implications for Marysville School District and other local schools. How would you address these budget issues?
I just can't believe that sometimes we just sit back. We've been on the bottom for a while. And I think we have to be more transparent so we all can sit back and be, oh yeah, we can approve this budget. To help the levies. We haven't really been successful getting the trust of the people to be able to say, okay, fine, I'll pay the little extra money to pass the levy or a bond. We have to do something. Every time we drive up to one of either of the districts or schools, we just look like, where's our money going to? And we just need to get the people's trust that we can go the right direction. Thanks.
You're very welcome. Mr. McCaig?
I think the first thing is we have to audit the money that we already have, right? So when we're addressing our own budgets in our own businesses and our own lives, we have to focus on the money that we have because we're not always going to get extra money, especially when we're trying to ask taxpayers to foot the bill when we have low quality output. We're not going to get those levies approved if we don't figure out how to deal with the money that we already have in our pockets. So the way I would address it is I want to get into the budget, make some hard decisions. They may be some things that people don't like. They may be some things that even I don't like. But the reality is that when you're facing budget issues, you have to make some cuts somewhere. And you just got to make sure that you're making the best cuts in the right places that have the highest impact and the best overall outcome.
Mr. Hereth, your thoughts on budget issues?
Yeah, actually, budget is more of a statewide issue versus something that a local board has a lot of control over. But locally, we can continue to be hyper-focused on budgeting and spending. We've learned our lesson there. Washington, currently uses a flat funding system, which means that most districts get roughly the same amount per pupil. And I would advocate for scrapping the prototypical model that's currently used by state funding to a more of a weighted system based on need. That would mean that a higher number of if you had a higher number of low income, special education, multi-language learners in a community, that creates a higher cost. And so that we wouldn't necessarily bring in more money, but we would divide that pie up to be more equitable so that districts that had a greater need, such as Marysville, which has about a 50% of our students have fit the community eligibility provision, that we would get increased funding as opposed to some communities that are more affluent.
Ms. Simpson, what are your thoughts?
I know previously we've had budget concerns in the past, and thankfully this year we're operating better off this year. And just knowing that we won't meet the needs of all of the needs in the district, we're working hard towards being better this year, and just my thoughts on that would be, I don't want to say remain status quo this year and then see what the future brings. Once we're in the clear and we're staying in the clear, then we can move forward from there. And also about levies and bonds. What is the difference? How can we include our families and our students in helping us to pass those? Because ultimately our students are our why and the reason behind the need for the funding.
Last say on this question, Mr. Thomas.
Hi, I'd like to first say that I endorse what Director Hereth said. I think the primary issue with regard to school funding lies with both the state and the federal government. The state needs to come up with a better way to fund basic education, a more equitable way to fund basic education. And I think the federal government needs to provide funding for the requirements it's mandating. But aside from that, I think we as a school board need to make rational, fact-based decisions, which I think we did in the current year in order to reduce the budget. We had to close a school. We had to relocate another, but we were able to do that. And I think that was accepted by the community because it was based on facts and data. And ultimately, we need to enlist the support of our community, because if we need to get to pass levies on a reasonable basis, on a reasonable schedule, and we're going to have to look at that going forward as well.
Thank you. On to another topic that most of you have mentioned in your previous comments. Mr. McCaig, you have first say on this question. Please share your thoughts on how to promote trust between the district and the schools and the parents.
Thank you. I think the first step is really just communicating with the parents in general. The public, like I said earlier, the public does not have the confidence in the school district. They do feel that they're not included in things. They feel that they're unheard. I think we see that in attendance at different functions. So the key is really just getting out there, right? I've been in the Marysville area for quite a while, and I've never really had anybody knocking on my door to talk about school director stuff. I've never heard anybody talk about, school things with me directly. I haven't seen the emails. I haven't seen the, the communication on it. So the basics, getting out there and actually talking to people and hearing what the parents have to say, and then making policy that kind of reflects that and shows them that we're listening to them.
Mr. Hereth.
I think that we need to acknowledge that everybody has the same goal in mind, and that's safe, successful students who become responsible, contributing adults in our community. We need to know that schools and families are partners, and there's not finger pointing going on saying, oh, you didn't do your job, or you didn't do your job as a parent. If those sort of things are not conducive to being successful. We do need to have communication present. We have to have our information clearly presented on a regular basis through multiple fronts. We need to have two-way communication so people feel that they're being listened to and not just spoken to. We've instituted in the Marysville School District timely communication. So if you contact someone in Marysville during the work week, you will get a response within 24 hours. We need to be transparent and explain our thinking, what we're doing and why we're doing it. And we need to be inclusive. So encourage parental involvement in schools through PTSA and get our committees up and going, and give the opportunity for feedback and real engagement with our constituents.
Ms. Simpson.
I would definitely have to agree with Craig. That's one thing that we have been working hard as a board with Dr. Rumba and the superintendent, is having open communication with the community. And when you are having a community member reach out, what is that response time? I think, am I saying this? Am I showing up? Am I walking my talk? That builds trust. If I'm following through, communication seems to have been a barrier in the past, and that's something that we're trying to move forward with this year. And hopefully it will continue with whatever the outcome is, but definitely communicating and having that open conversation with our families.
Mr. Thomas, your thoughts on trust building?
One aspect that hasn't been discussed in this is the relationship between the district and the schools. I'm a spouse of a 24-year Marysville school educator, and I heard an awful lot about issues of trust between the district office and the individual schools. I think both Superintendent Burgess and Superintendent Rumbaugh have done a lot to try and rebuild that trust, and that's an important element of the trust pyramid. It's not just a two-way street. It's actually more of a triangle. I think with regard to the parents, it's important that we listen to what they have to say, and we're not always going to be able to give them exactly what they want, but if we can't, we have to explain why. And I expect we're dealing with rational people who can understand. There are some things that for right now we can't do, but we have good reason for not doing that.
Mr. Sheldon, your thoughts?
If we had trust with everything, we wouldn't have all the people that are trying to run for these positions, or we'd be just happy the way they are. I'm so frustrated. And as my wife looks at me every day and just says, "Hey, can't you just stay home?" But I feel that there's a need to get us on the right direction. Of course, we're going to say everything is just fine, or we can blame the state. But everyone plays by the same rules. We just all of a sudden have to show that we're willing to go by the rules once we set them. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Mr. Hereth, you have first say on this next question. What's a strategy which could be used to enhance collaboration among you and your board colleagues and between the board and the superintendent? Give an example of how you have used this strategy.
Well, how the board interacts is kind of limited due to our open public meeting rules and those sort of things. Something that we've done as a board that's been very helpful is having what we call board retreats, where we get together to discuss items of importance with the superintendent. The 2 board retreats we've had this year so far dealt with setting our board goals for the district, and also with setting our expectations for evaluation with the superintendent. So we're clear on what the goal of the superintendent, or what our goals are for the superintendent, that we have some measurables that we can go ahead and evaluate how the job is being done. And so the chance to actually just talk and think things through has been very helpful. And that was been a frustration of mine as a board member, that you just can't get together when you feel like it to talk about things because there are those rules put in place. So having a structure like that with a chance for us to discuss our thoughts has been very helpful.
Thank you. Ms. Simpson?
I don't want to say I agree again, but I agree with Craig. But also, I think just being consistent and giving her that, ensuring that I'm going to be there, I'm going to show up. We're showing up together as a board currently, and that we are supporting her. And definitely just having that open communication with her as the superintendent and the board, and just continuing to show up.
Mr. Tomas?
I actually reuse a lot of the strategies I used in collaborating in my work environment. The first thing I try to do is I recognize that as it's incumbent on me to establish an opinion on a particular topic when I know it's going to come up for board consideration, and I do, but that opinion always remains an opinion and subject to change based on presentation of additional facts and data until we take a vote. And a number of times I've come in with an opinion that this is the correct answer, and I've listened to my other board colleagues and they've convinced me, no, you need to do it. You need to consider this and this, and well, and I've changed my opinion. And then the second thing is I recognize that sometimes I may be heart set on a particular issue, and I'm all for it, but my colleagues vote another way, and I need to accept that and recognize that that's their wisdom as well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Mr. Sheldon, your thoughts?
Well, I think fact is about being able to be transparent and come out. Of course, everyone says they do it, but then we don't see the board very much unless you pick the right two Mondays during the week to visit. Like I said, enjoy doing these things and be able to get out and hear from other people. Sometimes you just have to go out to people to find out what they hear. Don't wait until everything has kind of just gotten too bad and we just can't fix things. And it's apparently we've done that for a while, and I'm willing to listen. And sometimes that's all you need to do is listen to others, not the same 5 people.
Mr. McCaig.
I believe that the best strategy really is just remembering that we're there to focus on issues. We're not there. The people are not electing school board members to be friendly and all be friends that all have the same outcome. So I think it's important to remember that we're there to focus on issues that are affecting the students in our community, and stick to those facts, and not to take it personal. The ways that I've done this, for example, for strategy in the military, I've been, as a senior enlisted leader, I've been part of focus groups. I've been part of disciplinary review boards. I've been part of social think tanks, and I've been very successful at that. So I have a very good communication style. A lot of people may feel like I come off a little bit brash, but in the end, I try to focus on the outcome and remember the facts for why we're there to begin with, and what the outcome is, and the message that we're intending to send to other people.
Thank you. We have a little extra time. You've been doing a great job on keeping on track. Timer, would you set the timer to 30 seconds? And let's get quick thoughts from each of these folks on the following question. 30 seconds. How should school boards respond to community calls for removing any curriculum topics or subjects or books or programs? 30 seconds, quick answer. Ms. Simpson, you're first.
Okay, sorry. So one thing that we've been working hard on implementing is a chain of communication. So if we're getting calls, we should be directing those back to the superintendent and letting her address the concern with staff, and then ensuring that there will be a follow through for the concern.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
I think particularly with these issues, it's really important to listen to facts and data. If people have facts and data they want to present on how this particular item that they want removed has a significant impact on a large proportion of the student population, we need to listen to it and consider it. On the other hand, it's not our role as board members to address matters that really only affect a small number of individuals, and that really is more the superintendent.
Thank you. Mr. Sheldon.
I think the board just needs to realize that they set policy, and we haven't done policy for quite a while. It's about time we select people that's willing to step up and make policy and make those changes. So the other district, instead of sometimes being in there to micromanage, and we need to stop that and try to move forward and work the right direction. Thanks.
You're very welcome. Mr. McCaig.
I would say this one I think is actually quite simple, right? So first off, we need to define what the community is. Are we talking about a couple of complaints from a few individuals about some things, or are we talking about 50% of the district, or 50+1? I think when the parents are saying that they have an issue with curriculum, we should listen to them, and we need to go to those think tanks and those focus groups and see if we can find the facts and whether or not it's going to be beneficial to actually listen to them and actually do this for the kids.
And Mr. Hereth, 30 seconds.
Well, obviously, it depends on the situation. First, you need to listen to the concerns, and then second, do the homework. What is the law that's in place? What are the board policies that are in place? We need to respect, individual choice, and parents are provided opt-outs for situations in class that they are not comfortable with. Parents have a right to exclude their own child, but they do not have the right to dictate what other children can learn. So I would say that I am in no way for censorship that's based on any sort of individual person's religious or political beliefs.
I appreciate that. Okay, back to 1 minute, please, on the timer. Appreciate it. Mr. Thomas, you lead off on this next to last question. What additional issues or information would you like to bring to the attention of your voters?
The only reason I decided to, or I chose to volunteer to serve on the school board was I thought that based on my experience, I could help. I owe a lot to the Marysville School District. My wife, as I said, was an educator here for 24 and a half years. Both my daughters graduated from Marysville Pilchuck High School after going first through 12th grade. They both got great educations. They went on to get STEM degrees from major universities. And like I said, I am here to repay the school district for what it has given to my family. I don't have any particular political agenda. I just want to make sure that Marysville School District is financially healthy and on the progress towards significantly improving student performance.
Thank you, Mr. Sheldon.
Okay, I really believe that it's about time to start worrying about the other 20% of our students, because they're the ones that are failing. And I wish that we can get on the right direction. Like I said, I've said before, is to help them and motivate them to be able to go the right direction, because this is their lives. And a few of us have made a great directions, but we need to be able to slow down and be able to help the others get into the right direction and see that there is success down the road. Really, thanks.
You're welcome, Mr. McCaig.
A few months ago, I really didn't have any knowledge that I was going to be running for school board. Someone reached out to me and asked me if this would be something I was interested in. And I knew right away, being prior military, I've been committed to public service and community service. So right away, I knew that this was probably something that I should get involved in. And having that I have a student that's going to be coming into the school district in a few years, I felt it's my duty to do so. I have just as much shared complaints and concerns about the community and the school district as most parents out there. And so I want to do something to fix it, and I'm here to do it. And honestly, I really think that we just need to provide results, right? The community has made it clear that they're not interested in providing more money until we can fix the education system and show them that the money's going to good use. And I intend to do just that.
Mr. Hereth.
Great. Yeah, I'd like to say that we have made lots of tough decisions this year as a board, but we have a functioning board that is working well together, that is keeping students' success at the front of our minds. We have a lot to do, but I am proud of the positive improvements we've made in the district. We're still going to continue to focus on student safety, on fiscal responsibility, on improving communication, on building that sense of trust with our community. But I think that we are in the positive direction. I think that we have got through the bad times, and that I think that we need to continue the improvement that we've done. I think to keep our board together is a very important thing for the district if we want to maintain success. We are focused on the long picture, the long view, and not trying to find quick fixes. I think that people who think that the district is still in dire straits have concerns, rightfully so, but I think that those concerns are unfounded at this
Thank you,
point.
sir. Appreciate it. Ms. Simpson.
I believe in promoting student and staff well-being and providing an equitable education for all students. And then also finding a way to help improve the community and family involvement. I believe if we can get our families in the door, it might help improve with other shortfalls, such as having a lack of paraeducators. I've heard that quite a bit this year from our families. So I do feel like not only would we be meeting a social and emotional goal for students having family present, but it would also help to fulfill shortfalls within the schools.
Thank you. And here's the last question. Mr. Sheldon, you have the opportunity to go first. Take a full minute if you like. Please tell us something about your life experience that might surprise or intrigue voters.
Besides good looks, I don't know. It's 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 just one of those things. My wife and I, we've had 5 grandchildren, and 3 are autistic, and we struggle with that, and we never give up. And it's the same. I would never give up on this. I mean, that, like I said, there's other things to do, but I enjoy this. I go out and try to help anyone. I'm just passionate, and I love this stuff. And I thank the League of Women Voters for giving us a chance, because be able to give comments in 30 seconds and see in front of a clock, it's amazing. I really enjoy this. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Mr. McCaig.
Something about me that has surprised voters is like a few of those from District 1 mentioned with special education. I grew up in special education classes throughout my entire education system, from kindergarten up to my junior year of high school. And even in my senior year, I still was in some special education classes with very few mainstream classes. And then I went on to lead a very successful 20-year military career with high honors. I achieved one of the highest enlisted ranks, led many people, and I was a product of that special education, and I did well for myself, and I intend to help others do the same.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hereth.
Well, not much surprise or intrigue with me. I just want to say I'm a longtime community member who grew up in Marysville. I raised my family here. I spent most of my career as a teacher and a coach in the Marysville School District. I'm a strong believer in the concept of servant leadership, and I'm more concerned about what I can put back into the community than what I can take out of it. Being on the school board is my way to kind of pay back the community for all the things that it's given me in my life. It's been a real privilege to serve on the school board this past year, and win or lose, I will always support and be an advocate for Marysville schools. So I'd like to thank all the other candidates tonight. It takes some guts to get up here and answer these questions and run for office. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters for giving us the opportunity to get our message out there to the voters. So thank you very much.
It is our pleasure, sir. You're very welcome. Ms. Simpson.
I don't think I have anything too surprising. I'm a mother to 4 children. 3 are adults. 1 is entering high school. So she entered high school this year. My oldest daughter was hired on this year as a school teacher. That was a surprise for me because I did not see that for her. I'm a harvester at heart. That is what helps balance me through the chaos of working full time and, being on the school board currently. So that helps to replenish my spirit. I do a lot of community work outside of my job. I'm the founder of the grassroots community group, Together We're Better. We try to put on a lot of things for the community around Tulalip and Marysville.
Thank you. And Mr. Tomas, you have the very last word.
This spring at age 66, I decided to take up competitive running, and I ran my first 5K in Detroit on Memorial Day weekend. I ran again in July in Everett, and then my crowning achievement, something I've wanted to do for a few years now, is I ran the Seafair Torchlight Run before the Torchlight Parade back in at the end of July. Unfortunately, my running career has taken a bit of a halt. I've found out I've got an arthritic condition, so I'm trying to rehab from that. But I want to get back to running. I'm never afraid to take on new challenges and try new things, and I plan to keep doing that both for the school board and in my personal life.
Well, thank you to all of you.
The League thanks these candidates for joining us and for running for office. We encourage our audience to explore additional information about these and all candidates. Recordings of all League forums, Those recorded for the primary and the general election are available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website, on YouTube, and on our podcast channel. Find links at lwvsnoho.org under the Voter Toolkit tab. If you prefer written responses, vote411.org, sponsored by the League, is another good source of information. Ballots and your Snohomish County voters pamphlet will be mailed starting October 17th. Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. Please be a voter. Thank you to our League Candidate Forum team and the Candidate Forum Coalition. And of course, thank you for joining us. This concludes our Candidate Forum.